In this presentation, we will continue on with our tax preparation problem 1.1, this time looking at our Excel verification worksheet. The Excel verification is where we're going to enter the same information again, this time with basically a formula format so that we can compare and contrast what happened to the tax software and the forms and give a verification, a double verification that the data input has been input properly. Here is our Excel worksheet. So the Excel worksheet will basically be our tax formula. So we've got the income, we've got the above the line deductions or Schedule 1 deductions or deductions for adjusted gross income, the adjusted gross income, the greater of the itemized or standard deductions, and then the taxable income. And then we're going to apply the tax on it and deal with any credits and so on and so forth, down to the point where we're talking about refund or the amount due. We're going to talk more about each line item of this tax formula as we go through the course. But here we're just going to focus in on a fairly basic return and see what happens in terms of the full tax formula as we go. You'll recall last time we entered the information into the tax return. So here we have our tax return, our 1040 that we had entered last time, where we had the 60,000 that was input, the 12,000 standard deduction. The bottom line, page 2 result was the refund of the 320. Now, when you put the information into another verification worksheet, you don't want to take it directly from the tax return because that kind of defeats the point, because now you're just taking the information directly from the tax. What you want to do is basically take that source document again and put that information into basically a formula format in this format, and then go back and verify it with what you entered into the tax return. So that's what we'll do here. Each of these lines are going to be supported and backed up by these sheets to the side in a similar fashion as the 1040 is being supported by the schedules. But this one's even refined down a little bit more to basically the bare bones tax formula and then being supported in each of these sheets. All right, so if we took the information that we had to input, we've got our information on the W-2. Now here, we're not going to be considering really even at all the Social Security and Medicare because we're not doing the information reporting. We're calculating the federal income tax. Therefore, we're just going to basically be looking at these two numbers right now. So I'm going to take the 60,000, the 6,700, because that's going to be what's going to be impacting our actually income tax formula. So that's going to be up here on the gross income. I'm going to go into the second sheet, which is our income tax worksheet for the income. This is where I put all the W-2s. There could be more than one, as we'll see in future, problems. So we'll have 60,000 here. That's going to be line 1. If I go back to the tax formula, then I can say, all right, there's the 60,000, and I don't have anything for the deductions or adjustments for gross income, the Schedule 1 or above the line deductions. Therefore, that is the adjusted gross income, or AGI. Then we have the greater of the itemized or standard. Typically, a 60,000 W-2 employee will be taking the standard deduction, which is going to be determined by simply their filing status. Here, single, therefore 12,200. So that's basically determined for us. 60,000 minus the 12,200, that gives us the 47,800. So that's what we would expect to basically be on page 1 of the 1040, and we can verify that number. Now, the second part that's going to happen is going to be the tax calculation and then how much we paid. Now, I'm not going to put in the tax calculation because that's something we're basically going to get from the program. We're going to be dependent on the program for that, the software to do that. So we verified up to here, dependent on the program for this number. Then I'm going to take a look at the withholdings, 6,700. That's going to be down on the bottom of the equation where we have the tax payment and refundable credits. So that's going to be supported by the credits and payments worksheet, second worksheet. So I'm going to say this is what was withheld from the W-2, 6,700, which will feed into the first page of the formula, back to the tax formula. There's the 6,700. Now we're missing, of course, the actual tax. So now I'm going to pull in from the software, the tax worksheet. So I can verify the first page now. I can say, okay, there's the 60,000. That ties into our worksheet for the 60,000. We don't have any adjustments at this point, so we don't have any of the above the line deductions or Schedule 1 deductions, and therefore the total income is still the 60,000, and the adjusted gross income is going to be the 60,000. So now we can verify this number. That's the adjusted gross income. Then, let's see, we're going to have the standard deduction, 12,200. So if we go back over, we're going to say, all right, standard deduction, 12,200. that'll give us the taxable income 47,800. So taxable income 47,800. Then we're going to go to page 2, where we are going to pull from the actual tax return. I'm going to pull this number over because I'm not going to go look up the tax tables or try to calculate the different tax rates. We'll talk about how to do that later, and if you want to, you can do that. But oftentimes we're going to be dependent on the software to say, all right, we've verified the taxable income. Software, you go look up, the progressive tax system, the tables and the rates and whatnot, and let us know what that is. So that is going to be 6,380 in this case. So we're going to say, I'm going to just manually put that in there, 6,380. And then we're going to say, all right, I don't have any credits that we have entered at this point. No other taxes. The only thing we have are the payments. And if this was the tax, these are the payments, which we got from the W-2, then we would expect on our tax formula 320 for tax calculation. So here, we can go back here. This is the total tax. There's no child tax credits, still the total tax. No other taxes, such as self-employment tax. There's the total tax. Then we have the withholding, 6,700. The difference between the 6,700 and the 6,380 being the refund of the 320. So there's the 320 that we can verify. Now, I did that in a pretty long method, but note, you can do this pretty quickly. And if you have two people do it, like I say, like a kind of an assembly process, a reviewer and a data inputter, one that's putting it into the formula, another that's putting it into the tax software, then you get that kind of double verification, and you can do it in a fairly efficient way. Now, once you input that data and you've kind of verified it, you can typically use software to kind of pick up any kind of other information that you need. This type of software, Lacert, will give you diagnostics. So diagnostics will typically say, hey, here's some added problems that you should basically fix. The federal form it's a draft right now, so not included in this return. W-2, we have the ID is present in the client information screen for the taxpayer. So if I go to this one and say, okay, what's wrong with that W-2 form, and I scroll back over to the W-2, they want the social security number. I put a 9999, so can't fix that now. I'm going to keep that. And then the PIN number, I'm going to keep that. Taxpayer signature date is required. So in order to electronically file, they'll need the signature date on it. So you'll have some of these diagnostics often in different types of software that actually will not even let you file, or at least give you some warning before you file the return. They'll say, hey, we need some added information. Notice you can double check this information in terms of the numbers here. Oftentimes the added information needed is something like an informational thing. We need the address on the W-2 or something like that. Also, many softwares will have an analytical feature such as this. This costs more in the software, but and that'll give you some recommendations. And for example, the traditional recommendation that you would always see in these types of returns is, hey, I don't see a retirement plan here, and I don't see any IRA deduction. You could put money into an IRA account up until the point that you file typically. Would you like to put some into an individual retirement account? You'll get a tax benefit now if you do so. So that's pretty much a standard question you always want to think about. If you don't see a retirement account in the W-2, you don't see anybody putting any money into an IRA, you're always going to ask, do you want to set up a IRA? All right, and then you can get into what do you think the tax savings will be with an IRA. So that's a typical kind of question you'll have, pretty much every time. So the bottom line is, once you've entered the data, once you've verified it, and then you put in your information into your open items list, you've double checked the numbers that you have at this point, and then you can go back and ask the client all the questions that you have. If you want to verify the date of birth, you didn't get that. Occupation, is this the correct occupation you would like on the return? And then any other kind of questions you may have that could be beneficial for taxes. Common one being for fairly basic returns is, if you don't have a 401k plan, you may qualify for an IRA. You still have time possibly to put the money into an IRA. Do you want to do so? Here's going to be the tax benefit if you do so, and you can actually put the money into an IRA, see what the benefit will be, and calculate that. And so I won't get into a lot of detail on that analysis, but software can even help with that as well if you purchase the analysis format tool with it.